Anything in what Mr. Draghi said that was market meaningful, do you think?
Well, it's extremely interesting to see a central banker like Mr. Draghi come in and put pressure on the UK government to reveal some of its plans, and it probably highlights the extent to which the European Central Bank is concerned about the impact that the UK leaving the single market might have in terms of bilateral trade in particular.
The bank itself has bought, what, 850 billion euros worth of bonds over the last 12 months. What is the possibility that they will match some of that moving into the next 12 months, given how weak loan growth and economic activity has been within the Eurozone?
Yeah, well, I think definitely at its December meeting, the ECB will have a good hard look at perhaps changing some of the investment parameters around its asset purchase program, perhaps lowering the deposit floor, so widening that pool of eligible assets that it can purchase. Because the European economy fundamentally, it's sometimes easy to forget, but France is dealing with double-digit unemployment. Spain, 1 in every 5 adults is unemployed. Italy, obviously, concerns around the upcoming referendum result as well. In this type of environment, the ECB will want to support the real economy as much as it can, while ever fiscal spending doesn't come to the party, and we see a loosening in standards in that sense.
The market's had a real short and long-term view, though, on the ECB, what happened short-term, whether there's an extension of the program. But in 2017, many market participants have thought we might be talking about tapering. Yet there was a Morgan Stanley piece out yesterday suggesting that populism might derail any reversal from QE, because if you've got Trump with his reflation policies, you've got a U-turn on globalisation, it might require the ECB to keep on providing stimulus right through 2017. Do you think the program extension is going to be much longer than the market is pricing in?
Well, it's a very heavy political calendar that we face, not only in December with Austrian presidential elections, but also next year with French and German general elections as well. And if you take the Bank of England's example in terms of, it was the only game in town when David Cameron resigned after the Brexit referendum result in the UK, and was very quick to cut interest rates, was very quick to embark upon quantitative easing. Now, Draghi has stressed in the past that he wants the governments to start to support him from a fiscal standpoint. But if you do have this turmoil across Europe in terms of any rise in populism, then what fiscal support can he achieve? And the ECB may be forced in that instance to again step in, as it has done throughout this whole European debt crisis.
What do you want to hold at this point in Europe, as you've got yields moving higher across on the periphery, bonds moving south? What's worth putting in the portfolio?
Well, to date, we wouldn't really be advocating a huge stance in peripheral government debt, given again the real economies of those nations remain challenged. They are locked into a single euro currency, which is fundamentally too high. Interest rates, despite being negative, are still far, far too high as well for the peripheral area. German bonds are probably the one true safe haven asset left, with perhaps Donald Trump's election and the US reflationary trade. In terms of making sort of huge money, it doesn't look like bonds are a great place to be, given the potential for capital losses, and it doesn't look like the peripheral area is a great place to be, given the potential for turmoil and volatility there, given the electoral outlook. So perhaps what we're doing at M&G is underweighting the government bond space and looking more towards credit and spread product in order to generate returns for our investors.